It didn't seem fitting over the last 25 years that Wesley College's football field is located next to a cemetery. The Wolverines program under Mike Drass's vision and leadership was a birthplace of so much for Division III football. You don't get to 6 national semifinal games without being the creator of a winning strategy. When I began to expand my focus to National Division III football, though, I didn't really believe in Wesley's recipe for success. My first trip there to broadcast in 2009 was eye-opening. Then offensive coordinator Chip Knapp came up to assist us with our cameras, yet I didn't realize he was even one of their coaches. The small press box, the cemetery, the loud siren that would startle unsuspecting visiting teams.
Wesley fire alarm whistle going off to our right. That sounds like a good reason to take a timeout here.
It just seemed like a bizarre place for such football success. But then you remember, Division III is built on experiences like those. Even our own broadcast in 2011 when Linfield got a rare East Coast trip to Dover in the playoffs were as rickety as the press box area.
Man to beat. He's got one man to beat at the 30. He's going to leap over him and get there. 100 yards. Leon Jones off of Mickian's interception has made it a one-possession game.
And Keith McMillan and I both were a great deal younger.
We had Josh Hill with a stretch play, 37-yard run on 3rd and 1.
As much as I wondered how long Wesley could maintain their rise in D3, we kept coming back, and as our broadcast became clearer...
Oh, what an interception! What a catch by Leroy Cheatham! Second interception of the game for the Wolverines. Third turnover.
The self-tip drill.
Yeah.
My understanding of what was building the juggernaut of Wesley football became clearer too. The Wesley Wolverines were a family unlike many in Division III. The players loved the school for taking chances on them. The diversity inside the program ran deeper than most other D3 private school programs. And the patriarch of the family and the other adults that were part of that family sincerely cared. When I finally got to meet Coach Drass in person at the Glardy Trophy ceremony in 2014, I realized I was in the presence of a gentle giant, larger than life but passionate about Division III football. The next year, the mood was lighter.
There was it Rocky Myers back when?
In 2004, Rocky was won the Glardy Trophy. It was a great day.
And the feelings in the end were much more jubilant as Joe Callahan won the trophy, becoming the second Wolverine to do so after Rocky Myers' win in 2004. When I finally got to talk with Coach Drass at length in 2017 at Montclair, he seemed like he was at the top of his game. And the Wolverines, despite the close game, seemed ready to continue their success for some time to come. We learned in the 2017 playoffs that as much as the Division III world was watching Wesley succeed, Wesley was watching all of us and was aware of what we were saying.
Kick it in gear in the second half. Has that been adjustments or just...
That's our friend Frank Rossi. Keeps saying we're a second half team. Wait till I see him.
But 6 months later, we were all jolted across D3 Nation. Coach Drass passed away, and a piece of the Wesley football cement went with him. Tears were shed, and even though Chip Knapp had been there for decades as a Wesley coach, things seemed different for all of us when we discussed Wesley football. Like a great artist, you don't fully appreciate the specialness in a person's trade until they're gone. In the case of Drass, he was a builder, not only of a football program, but of a family and a tradition of helping a diverse group of men succeed year after year. This week, some people said Drass Field being located next to the cemetery made sense in light of Delaware State's decision to end the Wesley athletics program. But still today, I disagree. Wesley football made the region and the nation of D3 football grow through better recruiting and scheduling and schemes and cohesion. Even when Wesley disappears from the playing field, the football program will have left its imprint for years and decades to come. When the Wolverines take the field for the final time, it should not be a depressing burial moment. No, it should be a moment of celebration of everyone's contribution to make Division III football a more credible, competitive, and cohesive football division. This isn't a eulogy, but it's a celebration of this imprint that Wesley football has left and that won't ever be forgotten as another chapter is written this spring. Well, JB, we really wanted to talk about football in our first show of the spring season, per se. Actually, football being played on the field. And unfortunately, thanks to an announcement from Delaware State University, an announcement that was a long time coming, something that I, in fact, myself reached out to DSU a week ago to say, look, we just read something in the Whetstone, which is the Wesley student newspaper, a quote that basically says, you won't have what's necessary to have a dual D1 and D3 program between DSU and Wesley because you're acquiring them and not having a separate entity or branch or something like that. Will you have D3 sports in the fall? And I got an off-the-record answer from somebody. I don't think so, but they wanted to get me in touch with somebody else. Never heard back. Monday we get the news. In fact, they are not going to continue D3 program at Wesley. Wesley is essentially going to be dissolved into DSU is what you read into the entirety of this thing. It is disappointing. What's most disappointing is that they pretty much held the news until, I believe, you cannot withdraw with refund at this point from the school. And that's kind of dirty pool if you think about it. You can make this announcement January 1st and given everybody a lot of time to figure out what to do, how to handle what's next. But they didn't. They fed a lot of lip service out there, JB, about we're considering our options. I don't like it. I've always said I will not stand for when the adults in the room don't do the right thing or don't handle things in a mature manner, especially on behalf of the youth, that they're making decisions that affect that youth. This is one of those situations. I'm not going to just stand by and be like, yeah, that's okay, DSU. No, it's not. It's not. What's your thought when you heard the news? And then we'll kind of talk about what the rest of the show is.
Yeah, it was mixed. I mean, I kind of thought that this is what was going to happen. It just should have happened back in January. Like you said, we had a feeling that this merger, which really was an acquisition, may end up closing the doors. And with the whole advent of COVID, to be honest, I'm surprised that there haven't been more colleges that have closed their doors and had to shut down programs. It's just a shame. I was trying to think what would be kind of a D1 equivalent of is it like I don't know, it's like Clemson closing down or Florida State or something. I mean, Wesley has had so many decades of success, national success at the Division III football level that, it is a pretty major announcement and pretty big deal for our sport that probably one of the top, 5 programs in the nation is just going away. It's kind of hard to believe. It's a little surreal, but unfortunately it's just the reality of today. And, hopefully we can do our small part to help them, sail off into the sunset and, in style. And they've got some games coming up, and they still got a team. So it's not over just yet. Final chapter yet to be written.
The PAC basically kicks out Thomas More. Thomas More goes elsewhere. The MIAC kicks out St. Thomas. And, now DSU is basically saying to everybody, hold my beer, folks, because we're going to show you something else on how to get rid of a quality program out there. And that's what's happening here. Unfortunately, Wesley will be no more. So next week, we're going to do a show on the first quarter of spring football. But spring football, look, I hate to do this and say it in this way, but we have to say this right now because there's no hiding. I mean, it's been announced in 18 different places. Wesley's going to play spring football. The NJAC of some level is going to play spring football. We've been holding off this announcement or, the news about the announcement. It's the ink is not dry, folks, okay? There could still be changes. It is not 110% definitive. Our good friend Terry Small, the commissioner of the NJAC, has been very open with us over the last week or two about this fact. We're not trying to jump his announcement in any way, shape, or form. It's just clear when Wesley has a page there saying spring football schedule to be announced, there's going to be an announcement. And we talk a little bit with Coach Chip Knapp, head football coach of Wesley, about just that coming up in a second here on the interview we did with him. And then, like I said, we're going to have a show next week about football that's been played in the first 3 weeks. But we felt that it was necessary with the imprint that Wesley has created in our D3 Nation, as we call it, that we talk about them a little bit here, give them their time and discussion points here and focus and everything else. So without further ado, let's jump into the Coach Knapp interview. Coach Knapp, thanks for joining us. This has obviously been an eventful week for probably all the wrong reasons when you really think about it, except for some of the stuff that you and I were talking about last night as we talked about getting this interview together, about how dedicated your team is to, let's say, finishing the chapters of this book of Wesley football. We'll talk about that in a moment. First, I think a lot of people want to understand, how did you find out this news? What was kind of your operating assumption heading through this school year? Because obviously the transaction occurred, I believe, in the summertime, or at least the announcement of it with Delaware State University. And were you surprised by the news when it came across on Monday?
Well, I think, was it Monday they told us that we had an athletic department meeting, and our athletic director, Tracy Short, had said that as soon as she finds out something, she'd been getting inundated with questions all fall and throughout the winter. And she told us she didn't know exactly what was going on as far as the future of Wesley Athletics. And as soon as she found out, she'd let us know, and she found out Monday. And, just had an athletic department meeting. We met on Zoom and came right out and said, we're no longer continuing with Wesley Athletics in the fall. So earlier in the summer, we found out there's all kinds of discussions with different colleges and mergers, and the word acquisition wasn't mentioned a whole lot initially, but we found out after a couple seemed to me some attempts with some other colleges to merge and combine, that they announced later in the summer. It was a little bit of a surprise to me that Delaware State was acquiring, was the word they used. And when I heard that in the summer, I tried to think of any kind of precedent that has been set before with other colleges. And then the idea of, you hear around our area, Rutgers, Camden, like a satellite college. Penn State has some satellites. And so that was kind of tossed around with our administration discussions. And so there was a little light, ray of hope there. And then, but when I actually thought about it as a business decision, and knowing Delaware State being around here for as long as I have, and the combining two athletic departments would be a difficult thing, I think, and it just didn't seem likely. Although we were getting some optimistic, talk at certain points in the summer and fall. And then kind of a little bit of radio silence on what was going to happen. And so we were in limbo through to the end of the fall into the spring here. So, but it was, I likened it to, somebody, a relative that's very sick, and, it's maybe there's a miracle cure, but when they pass away, that's kind of how I looked at it. It kind of feels like that, like you knew something bad probably could happen here. And then when it eventually does, you kind of, like I told our team, I'm going back through the stages of grief here, and so we took a day off to kind of have our players talk to our families and talk to people about the next move. I explained to the team that our next move was, our objectives for the spring hadn't changed, but we were adding an objective that we're going to take care of them after we play. Our plans to play in the spring, we're going to take care of these guys, be a resource for them, and help them on their next step in their journey. That's, we've always talked to Wesley College Coach Drass about, taking them from point A to point B, being transformational coaches, and we're going to continue to do that till the end. So that's the plan going forward.
Well, trying to turn some bad into good. At least the opportunity that the conference is presenting you to have some more games and ultimately let your student athletes, get that very rare game tape that's been missing, since the 2019 season. It's at this point in time, I guess what's sort of the attitude of the team, other than the obvious disappointment. is there? I assume there's got to be still some excitement. Like, hey, we got a season here. It's not your traditional D3 season, but you have some opportunities to go out, win some games, get some film for these guys, and then, like you said, perhaps that opens some doors for them after the spring is wrapped up.
Yeah, when we had our meeting, the team went to they wanted to have their own team meeting, which was great, and it was really kind of still up in the air about what was going to happen. I said, anybody who wants to be part of this and finish out the final chapter of Wesley football and develop as a football player, win some games, and create opportunities for themselves and have us as a resource, show up to practice Tuesday, yesterday, be in the end zone at 3:30 and be ready to go. And to me, who showed up? They all showed up. It was all the great moments in Wesley that we've had over the years. And that was another one to see those guys, and they brought energy and enthusiasm. And it was like nothing had happened, and they really answered the call. And we had a great day in our Wesley football program. One I'll always remember, and I'm very proud to see their how they reacted and what they're looking to do moving forward.
Yeah, I read an article in Delaware State News that I found this morning, actually, about just the attitude and the pride that this team has right now. Coach, there is no official announcement from the NJAC yet, but we do have some pretty good intelligence that everybody is working on getting a schedule with some opt-outs involved, obviously. Wesley is not one of those opt-outs, quite clearly, from all the things we've been reading and things that you've been telling us. And in fact, it looks like there's a scrimmage model actually being conducted by the NJAC, which is unique to the entire return to play that we've seen in the spring football. So it gives, I think, an extra opportunity if it does pan out the way we think it does. To the degree you can give us some details or some idea, what does a season look like here? Will we be able to come down and, kind of have a final hurrah at Wesley in the final game, or is it unclear right now? Kind of give us the landscape of what we're going to be watching over the next 2 to 3 months here.
Well, I know there's going to be, as far as coming to the games, there's some COVID protocols that are in place. I think, they might limit some of the crowd. And so we're going to look at how we can advertise the game. It might be 2 family members per person and that type of thing. But it looks to me like we're going to have a scrimmage and then 3 games. Salisbury, right now tentatively, and I think it's going to be finalized here very soon, Salisbury at home, and then 2 away games, Montclair State and CNU. And then we'll have a meeting this Tuesday about, kind of going through, maybe there's a championship game, maybe not. We don't know. There's the NJAC is initially talked about dividing it into a north-south kind of setup, and then the north and the south would play a championship of the teams that are involved in playing, and so that's still to be determined. I think we'll find out something early next week. But we'd also like to, one thing we're trying to figure out how to do is class game, on the Wesley football field on Drass Field. And make it a celebration and put an exclamation point on on this program. So we're still working out the details for that, and hopefully we can find a team that will want to play wants to play the final game in Wesley football history. At home on Drass Field.
Quite a storied history too. I mean, I think 6 national semifinal trips. I mean, in the last 2 decades, maybe 3, you could say. I mean, you guys have been the premier program in the East region, have won probably more games, advanced to the playoffs more times than any other. The obvious question is once the celebration / the end is here, like what happens to this championship culture? Obviously, I'm sure you have some plans that you're going to have to make at some point. I mean, And what really do you think has been the secret to the Wolverines' success over all these years? You guys have done something that's pretty rare, and it's made me wonder, like, well, are they kind of copying like a Mount Union type of model, or they just kind of got their own secret sauce here that's helped them develop this winning culture, this winning program over these last few decades?
Yeah, well, moving forward, once we COVID permitting and everything else, if it all works out, we're going to just focus right now on playing these games and developing our players and still building the bonds that we talk about with our program. Afterwards, like I said, we're going to work on helping our guys, take that next step, find a place for them that fits academically, financially, and football, athletically, and being a resource. We think we're the best resource. We know our guys, and so that's going to be our plan moving forward. And it's happening as we go. I got about 30 phone calls from different college coaches about our players already, and they just keep coming. And I say, well, give us a chance to let's make sure we're give us a couple days here, and then we can talk about our next move. But our secret, I think it happened a long time ago. When Coach Drass became the head coach in 1993, we put together. I remember it very vividly. We were sitting in our old office there, and we were talking about. We had this discussion. We got to put together a philosophy. That's doing things the right way. And we sat down and kind of hashed it out. And a lot of the influences came from our previous coaches, but we said it's going to be more than football. We said it's going to be about creating a great experience from our guys, taking them from where they are when they come here to where they want to be. We were going to focus on academics and making academic progress. We were going to build relationships, build our team bonds and all that. That's the thing that lasts more than anything is those relationships. And we focused on that, and the football kind of took care of itself. And, that formula of making it more than just trying to win a football game. We never took any shortcuts. We really feel like we did things the right way. And that continued from, 1993 when Coach Drass took over, to the present. And that's been a winning formula for us. And, Coach Drass and I and the other coaches here, we've had great coaches that have come through here. We all kind of bought into that philosophy and wanted to make an impact on the guys. And it's more than just, trying to beat an individual team. And so, and that's not lip service. That's how we've done it. And we feel real good about, we feel great about the things we're able to do here, over our time since it became a Division III program. I remember when I first got here, Wesley's previous 4-year record was 1-39. And so something had to change, and we were able to do that. We feel real proud that we were, of everything we've done here.
I want to go 2 in a row here if I can, JB. First, Coach, you talked about the coaches reaching out, et cetera. I think you guys have earned a level here to have a respect factor built into what's going to happen in terms of, I don't want to use the word poaching or anything like that, but some schools may have engaged in that a little early with some of the news that came out, obviously. But there are a lot of schools out there that want to do it the right way and treat your students with the respect and treat you guys with the respect you deserve under the circumstances. How do you request schools, coaches, et cetera, to handle this? If you have a message to send to them as to, the right way right now that you want this protocol to work with respect to, making sure you can get these student athletes that you love so much into a position to succeed after the spring is done. And what are there, like 75 or so players that are still on the roster? What is the roster state right now?
Yeah, we're sitting around 75 players, which is I feel proud that we're able to hold it together. And there with the COVID and all the other things going on, we had guys sticking with us, and they're I'm proud that they're going to be with us to write this last chapter. That's a great thing. the priority here is to do right by our players and do what's best for them, not what's best for anybody else. And I think, like I said, we're looking at the academically. We got guys, 2 years into their degree, 3 years into their degree, and some of these young guys, they're focused on just football and where I can play next year. But there's a lot of consequences to their decision in terms of academically. We want to save them money. We want to get them in the place where they can get the degree that they truly seek, and not just focus on playing football next year. That's going to be a talk we're going to have at practice today, actually. And then with the coaches, it's just to me, it's all about communication. I'm here to help people, and if I feel like a player is going to be a great fit, I'm going to do everything I can to help him get to that whatever school that they're looking at, whatever coach, and make that connection. I'm going to be a liaison, kind of like I don't know if I should say like a player agent almost, but just helping them any way I can. And I told the team that's what we're here for. And, so that's the thing. But communication is going to be great. Right now I can't answer every email that was sent to me and every text message so far. Coaches are motivated to, win games and be successful in their program, and they see our players as very talented, and I like to think they're well coached too. So they're going to get there's some good players here that can help some programs. So hopefully we're going to be like the matchmaker, I guess.
So my first encounter with you, I believe, looking back, was 2009. I want to say that I broadcast the Mississippi College playoff game that you guys played at home. I got my first flavor of the Wesley small-ish press box. We'll make no bones about the size of the press box and the exposed upper deck where we usually broadcast from on the D3 football side. And up comes this guy, I don't know, and he's, hey, is this camera okay? We're making sure this is okay for you, and this and that. I didn't know who the hell you were, okay? Didn't know, and I was still green when it came to the national D3 context. And so I'm talking to people afterwards, they're like, oh, you met Chip Knapp, the offensive coordinator. And the more I learned about you and the story about your son, Ben, who, hopefully, the family entirely, including Ben, is doing well here despite this news. You had this image, and you still do, that you could have pretty much coached anywhere, especially in Division III, that you wanted to. Okay, that your success level on the offensive side of the ball was second to none. And I've run into you, obviously, you've scouted out playoff games at Del Val. I think you were at the Del Val Brockport playoff game I saw you at a couple of years ago. What made you stay? What from 1989 was it till now? You graduated Cornell in '87, I believe, if I read correctly. You're Wesley for 32 years. Is that basically? Why? Why this small school in Delaware for Chip Knapp this long? And what are you most proud of when you really get down to it? For you, your own success.
Well, I tell you, I came out of Cornell and I wanted to get into college coaching. And a big influence for me was my high school coach, John Nemick. I saw, actually went home, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was an economics major and looking to go probably to Wall Street, where all my teammates were going. And then I went to my high school coach's home after break, and I saw in his house all at one time the impact he was making with the assistant coaches that were at his house. They had current players coming in to talk to him, former coaches, and I was a former player, and just seeing all the impact that one person had through the game of football. I started thinking like maybe I want to do that. And then I got the opportunity. I went out to coach at Cornell afterwards as a kind of a restricted earnings position. I went to a GA in Division I. I got to see how that works. And then I came to Wesley. I had a friend of mine talk me into coming to Wesley. Roy O'Neill, a coach that I coached with at Cornell. And then, I got there. I was planning on being there for a year or two, and I pictured myself moving back up the ladder. And I met Coach Drass. We hit it off. We became, best friends. And the other factor, a huge factor, is my wife, Cindy, who I married her a couple years, met her, and then, so I was and I married her, and that was probably 92. It was 92. So I was there for 3 years, and I'd started looking to move on. And, but I was in, why change it? I was enjoying life. Coach Drass and I was with my best friends. I enjoyed Dover. The program was fun, and I was just enjoying it. And there was no real call to move on. I've seen other coaches. It's kind of like a military lifestyle, moving from one college to the other. And I saw that I could do those things that I saw my high school coach do here. And that kind of, I was happy doing that. And then, the things that I'm most proud of is just, taking this program. Like you talk about our press box and the different things. And I remember we were playing Mary Hardin Baylor in a playoff game. We ended up winning, and we had, our jerseys were torn. One of the couple numbers from Chris Mays, one of our star defensive ends, and the guy saying, "How the hell are you guys winning with the small stadium and all this? Your jerseys are falling apart." And it was just, and I just thought we're doing things the right way. We're making the big time where we are, kind of thing, and And ultimately, I kind of felt like I was doing the same things that I witnessed when I was with my high school coach. When I saw that one day on Christmas break in college, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, and it's just been a great time. It hasn't felt like work at all, so it's just been a lot of fun.
Just want to remind you, don't forget the year you got married. That could be really, really detrimental to your future, even outside football. I just want to remind you of that fact right there.
We met earlier, so I was going to say that, Dave. It's May 2nd, 1992. I don't forget that.
Which is my birthday, actually. So there you go. Now I know. There you go. JB, you and I were just talking. We were just sidebarring a little bit. We were kind of comparing notes, and we had the same basic idea of where we want to kind of go with this, which is past player thoughts. I'll let you kind of build on that.
Yeah, well, Coach, I guess it was about 5 or 6 weeks ago. I saw Matt Gono lining up for the Atlanta Falcons. I know Frank got to interview Joe Callahan, your former quarterback, who put up a lot of points. I remember that playoff game against the Ali Marpet Hobart Statesman back in the day, which was a fun game. But you probably have at least 100 guys or more that you could probably rattle off as great players for your program. Not to put you on the spot, but are other folks that really stood out to you over time as it's really just outstanding student athletes that you've had the privilege to coach.
Well, I'm going to forget someone, and I'm going to hear it. There's so many. Joe Callahan just texted me some of the plays he liked this past season, and then Shane McSweeney texted me about 20 minutes ago. Those are two great ones that you can't get any better in Division II. Those two guys, and of course Matt Gono, and there's really too many to I mentioned Chris Mays. He was a great one for us. He's going into our Hall of Fame here at the end of the year, and there's just a lot of players. There's too many. I mean, when you we've averaged probably the last 15 years since 2005. I think we've averaged 11 wins a season. Been in the postseason every year, NCAA playoffs, never lost an opening round game. We have the other thing is we have the only two Gallardi Trophy winners on the East Coast. Rocky Myers, defensive back, and he's in Hollywood right now and doing well. You might see him on 3:00 in the morning on some movie, some sci-fi channel or something. And Joe Callahan, we have the trophy back there behind me. He's the other guy that won the Gallardi Trophy, and there's just a lot of players. It goes on, and I'm going to forget somebody, and then I'm going to see it on Facebook here. So I think that's
you can blame it on me.
I just named a couple guys who just reached out to me a little bit ago, but there's hundreds. I'm thinking about it. There's been thousands of guys that have come through this program, and and there's a lot of people, a lot of lives that I've been able to experience, and it's been a great time for me.
Coach, the last two things I'm going to ask you. First, what is next for you? I mean, do you have any idea what the next road for you will be? You are a tremendous coach, a tremendous person on top of it, but a tremendous coach for football and for the youth that are out there. Coaching's got to be the next step no matter what, I would think, but do you have any idea where or how?
Well, right now, not at the moment. We've been with the COVID, and it's been football has been a little bit different. But man, when you get out there on the field, the feelings I get being out there, I want to continue to coach. But where and in what capacity is, I'm going to be researching moving forward. I'm kind of want to stay local if I can because of my. Ben's situation. You mentioned Ben, and there's been a lot of people in the community that have helped us, and to uproot anything like that would be difficult for me. But I'm right now. I'm just I got my eyes open, and hopefully I can continue to coach. That's to be determined, I guess.
And the last thing I'm going to ask you, and by the way, let me just put the plug in that anybody in the Delaware area that has a job that wants a quality coach, call this man over here because you will be a better program for it, and your players will be better people for it.
The other thing, Frank, is as you noticed when we first met, I have tech skills too. So I'm I also know.
I hate to tell you, we may hire you actually. So hold on, but also, no interview discussion would be complete without a little bit of a retro on Coach Drass, what he's meant to you, what he's meant to the program, obviously, and what do you think this does in terms of his memory? Unfortunately, I said it on Twitter the other day. The off-season news we report from Wesley lately has not been exactly what I would call happy stuff with his passing in 2018 and now this. What is your thought and, how it computes? A lot of people saying he's rolling over in his grave and this and that, but in your own words, you were as close to him as anybody out there pretty much. You were pretty much family. What is your thought about how he would view this and what it does to his memory and everything else?
Well, I wonder if he was here, if this would have actually happened. But, he was the executive director of athletics, and he had a hand in, some of the administrative things. And he was I like to say he was a savant at that side of things. He could really see the big picture and understand what really needed to happen. I think people would have listened to him, and we had some discussions about that, before he passed, and so that I think it's not a coincidence that this happened when he wasn't here, because he meant so much to the college and he was such a great leader. I'm really a little concerned about the things that he's accomplished here, and his legacy is going to be. I think it deserves to continue on. He's touched so many lives and done so many great things for this community, and now we have Drass Field, and what's going to happen to Drass Field, and I have a couple wheelbarrows full of plaques and trophies that as coaches of the year and great posters and photographs and all this stuff, and right now that's part of my job is to figure out how to preserve the Wesley tradition. And it's not obvious right now how to do it, other than rent out a storage facility, I guess. But and that doesn't do that's not going to do him justice. So it's a little bit I'm a little bit concerned about that situation. But anyone who has been in Delaware, anyone who's been in Delaware knows the impact he had on the state and the community, and I think it deserves to be preserved and remembered. And so that's going to be one of my missions moving forward too, with the players. And so, I don't know, maybe I'll try to build a statue. I don't know.
Well, maybe with Matt down on the Atlanta Falcons, and maybe with a little legal knowledge and some persistence, we should get some of this stuff into the College Football Hall of Fame. I mean, why not? It might be worth a try. It might be worth a shot. Maybe this is something. This is an idea just popped into my head. A lot of times, my ideas aren't great ones, but this could be an avenue to pursue. Possibly. It's just kind of popped in there. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it maybe offline, but that if there is anybody who deserves that from at least a D3 or other perspective, I would think that Coach Drass certainly would.
And the Wesley program at large, for that matter. Coach, do you have any final messages for the Wesley Nation out there in terms of the fans that have always stuck with you guys through thick and thin, the former players, everybody that's been reaching out? What is your message right now? Because remember, there's still a chapter to be written here. I kind of got a little text confirmation even during this discussion that the ink is not quite dry yet on the spring schedule, but one is forming here and will be put out very soon. So we've got at least that level of confirmation that the book is not fully written. But what is your message to Wesley Nation right now?
Well, Wesley Nation it's about the people that were part of this program, and it's about appreciation for everything that the blood, sweat, and tears that the former players have put in, the encouragement that they have provided to our team over the years, and we're proud of their accomplishments after leaving our program, and it affirms the job that Coach Drass and the rest of the coaching staff here has done, and it's just about appreciation is the key word. And we're still processing it here. It's still going through. This is an unprecedented situation. You don't see. I can't think of any off the top of my head top nationally recognized programs just dropping football. It's hard to come up with any programs, but and one thing we always say is that once you're part of our program, you're part of the Wesley family, and that's a true statement that doesn't go away. And after this is all done, we're still going to have that Wesley football family that that's the strongest bond that we've had. That's going to persist over time, and I'm going to work hard to keep that going, and we want to keep keep our accomplishments and these memories alive.
We're going to help you do that no matter what. Anybody that's had a memory with Wesley is going to have a story to tell. I'll have plenty of stories to tell about Coach Drass and you, for that matter. And I still will never forget the press conference where he apparently was listening to my rants or my thoughts and decided to pick on me on it. But I always say
that was classic.
If you could deliver back at me, I love you for it. And he did. And when I met him at Montclair that one time, he's classic. And then messaged me about other players that deserved accolades at other schools, like Joe Germanario back when at Brockport. I remember he reached out specifically to say he deserved accolades more than he was necessarily getting. I remember that clearly. That's the guy he was. That's the guy you are too. I know that you do the same stuff. We are at a loss, and we don't want to really face it until you get the champagne out, and I'll bring some down myself to say goodbye the right way to the Wesley football program and to your student athletes that are staying, that are playing. I have just a phenomenal amount of admiration for what they're doing here because there is nothing guaranteed, nothing really to prove right now when you really get down to it. There's schools already knocking on their doors to come for many of them, I know. Sure. But they're going to do it anyway. It's for the tradition, the love of you, Coach Drass, in the Wesley program. That's amazing, and we can't understate that fact. So congratulations to you on creating such a great family at Wesley. And stay in touch, sir. We appreciate everything that you've done for us along the way.
Yeah, and the D3 Nation, they appreciate you guys necessary, and it's much appreciated, the work that you guys put in, and keep it going.
Will do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
JB, I felt a little emotion coming over me. I could see it coming over him during that. I could see you even affected. You and I weren't exactly, in the old days, the biggest fans of Wesley. Were they being academically, pro in the whole scenario? What was it? But as we got to know this program more and more, we got to appreciate Coach Drass's philosophy a lot more. We got to appreciate the school, the players, then and now, basically, and the family it is. It is such a small school in Dover, Delaware. It really is. I mean, you drive through there, you pass Dover Downs, and, take a right, and there you are in this school. To Drass Field, which is adjacent to a cemetery with a fire horn that goes off. Air horn. It's an amazing thing when you're there. But it's part of this nuanced Wesley history that we grew to appreciate. So, after hearing Coach Knapp talk about all this, what's your biggest takeaway today?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is that I hope that the coaching staff, current and former players, kind of just while it's sad to say goodbye, hopefully that they can be comforted by all of the great memories, all the victories, all the championships, all the playoff runs, all the All-American. We've got a couple of Gallardi Trophy winners in there, which is not an easy feat for an East Region school to pull off. And so hopefully they enjoy the celebration of it with a great run that began really with Coach Drass taking over in the early 90s. And, while it's been maybe a rough couple of years since he passed away unexpectedly, Wesley's still, doing what they do, and they're winning games, and they're competing for titles and trying to, get into the playoffs and so on. So they'll have one more opportunity, one more shortened spring season to win some more games to add to their, hundreds, if not thousands of wins that they've had over the last 3 decades now, or what have you. So hopefully it's more of a celebration than anything else, because they certainly earned it. And, we will definitely miss them on a national, not just East Region scale, but quite a story that's coming to a close here.
10-2 last season, fell at the hands of Del Val, who I believe they beat actually in quadruple overtime earlier in the season. My challenge, it sounds like right now they're trying to figure out a team outside the NJAC to have a home game to finish their run against. Hey, Del Val, do it. Put it together. This has been a team that has been a rival to you for how many years now? Do it. Do the right thing. It'll help your own student athletes, because when you play Wesley, you gain a lot of football acumen in preparation and in the game itself. Del Val, do it. Yeah. That's all I can say. Folks, we'll see you next week where we'll discuss some happier aspects of spring football, and hopefully have an update on the NJAC situation when we come back on that show. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and we will see you then.